Good afternoon. We are now in Singapore. It's quite an early start this morning, getting up about 7 o'clock to get a flight at 11 from Kuala Lumpur Airport. We got a grab there, which is nice and easy. Got here about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, checked into our hotel, and now we're out in the city. So we're at the Marina Bay area at the moment, and straight ahead of me is the Central Business District, looking very impressive. And if I swing round, you have the historical area straight across from us. Some newer bits around this quay area. And I zoom around and up. That's the Marina Bay Resort behind us, just blocked a little bit by the awning. And that's the famous building with a garden on top of 3 pillars. We are now at Super Tree Grove, which is in the gardens by the bay. And it's just full of these very large trees connected by a walkway. And it is really, really, really impressive. And there we go, there's some of the other trees. So we're now going to walk up to the aerial platform there and have a walk around higher up in the sky. So we're now on the skywalk, and it's a bit windy up here. We're about 22 meters up in the air. High enough, but it's a bit nerve-wracking when it blows. And over in the distance you can see a big greenhouse where there's an artificial rainforest inside of it. And if I swing around, you can see the Marina Bay Sands Hotel, which is all the way up there. And we're now going to go have some dinner, and then after that we're going to be having a look at the light show, which happens here in about an hour's time. And here we have the light show with its musical accompaniment. And here we have the final thing in the gardens, which are a load of, well, light up eggs, but they're very pretty eggs. And we have the very large hotel all lit up there as well. We're now going to be going back to the hotel because we've got a nice early start tomorrow, and we're heading to Universal Studios to spend the day in the theme park. And one last thing for today is the view across the waterfront to the CBD. And as we spin round, the older part of Singapore in the distance. So this morning, as promised, we're at Universal Studios Singapore, just waiting to go in. I will spin round, you can see a large globe thing, which is their logo. And we're really now just waiting to go in, it should be imminently. We've just done the human and cyclone roller coaster you can see here. Part of Battlestar Galactica theme. The Cyclone one's much scarier, so I recommend you do that second out of the 2 of them. And now we're heading to ancient Egypt to go on the mummy ride, which is straight in front of us. We've now done the mummy ride, and we're at the Waterworld show. Apparently you can get very, very wet. During the entire performance. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon now here at Universal Studios, and we've had a really nice day. It's been really good. We've seen all the things, pretty much every ride we've been on. The only thing we did do, which has made it all a lot easier, is get the express passes, which cost an extra 50 Singaporean dollars, about £25, but I'd say it's well worth it. It saves you at least 2 hours of queuing, and it lets you go on a couple more rides. So yep, really good day, and we're just going to be heading back into the city now, and tomorrow we'll be going out into the old part of the city and looking at some of the history of the place. Now just before we leave, we have this auspicious dragon show, which is a product of it being Chinese New Year at the moment. And it's very nice. And you can see we're inside the fake town which makes up the entrance to the park. We're now at a restaurant just before we go back to the hotel, and it's a vegetarian restaurant where everything is made to look and taste like a meat dish. So we're having chicken and rice, but it tastes exactly like normal chicken and rice, but it's vegetarian. Really good, and it's called True Veggie, and it's well worth coming to.
It's a new morning in Singapore, and we have come straight to Chinatown, and we are queuing up at the Hawker Chan street food stall upstairs in the Chinatown market. It used to be called Hong Kong Singapore Noodles, and basically this guy got famous because he won a Michelin star in 2016, 2017 and 2018. So at the time he was the only street food seller in the world to get a Michelin star, and also it's the cheapest Michelin star meal you can get, because each dish is about $2 or so. So we're here, we're going to try it out, and we'll let you know. George and I have never eaten at a Michelin star restaurant. We got here about 12, and we've been queuing for just over half an hour now. Waits of 3 hours or more are not uncommon, but we'll see how this food is. So here is the soya sauce chicken and rice, the dish that won the Michelin star. We're going to have George's first reaction to trying his first bit.
Very nice.
So George approves, and now it's time for me to get stuck in.
So we're now at the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple, just across from the Chinese market we've had our dinner in just there. And this temple is famous for holding a tooth of a Buddha. Although I'm sure on this trip we've already seen several temples holding the Buddha's tooth. So we've been very blessed, or this Buddha had an awful lot of teeth. So this is the main room in the temple, and a very, very pretty temple it is. It's quite busy, but it's very well looked after, and it's very pretty. We are now here at Sri Mariamman Temple, which is only a bit down the road from where we were before. And this is a very nice temple. It's a Hindu temple, unlike the last one which was Buddhist. And this one is famous for being the first temple of its type in the city of Singapore, and for its ceremony every October and November where people walk across hot coals.
So it won't take a genius to work out we've come to Raffles in Singapore and got the traditional Singapore Sling. This is the long bar. You can see the fans going. Just generally a really nice atmosphere to come to the home of the original Singapore Sling.
We are now at the National Archives of Singapore because I'm doing a little bit of research into my family history and having a look at their old maps section to see where my great-grandparents and grandparents used to live when they were here, sometime in the 1930s. The only problem is Juliet and I are both a little bit drunk now, so it's going to be a bit of an adventure finding what we need to find. So we've had a very successful time in the National Archives, find out a lot of very interesting things. But it's a bit too late now to go into the park. So we're going to be going back to the hotel now, and we'll be coming back out tomorrow morning. Juliet and I have escaped Singapore City today and have gone inland to the MacRitchie Reservoir, which is a sort of a nature reserve with a treetop walk in it. And we're now at Venus Drive, and we're going to walk along the orange path to the treetop walk, go around it and come back. Should take about 3 or 4 hours, and should afford some very good views. And then once we've done that, we'll be heading back into the city itself. But now we're just going to head off into the wilderness. We are now at the treetop walkway, and as you can see, we are very high up, and it affords a very nice view of what's around us. So So this is the view towards the south, towards Singapore City. Lots of trees. And as we swing around looking towards the north, there's part of the reservoirs which are up here in the mountains, and some construction work of some type, not quite sure what. Destroying the piece a little bit, but it's still very nice. But yeah, this is a really nice walk through the trees. It's completely free. The only things worth bearing in mind, it is a bit of a walk from the nearest car park, and it's not open on Mondays. But other than that, it's just here for people to enjoy. So we're now down off our treetop walkway, and just having some more really nice strolls through the jungle. Always wondering what animals are out there just waiting to jump at us. So we're now at the top of a Gelatung Tower, which is so named after the large trees in the area. And this is about 8-storey high tower just here in the middle of the rainforest, very high up. And it just gives you a lovely view of the area around you. And it is really, really pretty up here. We're now at the last portion of the walk, the last thing to see, which is the MacRitchie Reservoir, which is, yeah, really nice. It's very quiet here, and as with everything we're seeing today, really, really pretty.
So just coming along the boardwalk, and we found some monkeys. I've seen some before, but they've always been up in trees and messing around, whereas these ones are just actually here. Ooh. And there's George with the monkeys. And here we have a monkey eating his lunch.
We're now back in the city after a nice easy bus ride from a reservoir. We're now at Fort Canning Park, which I erroneously called Botanical Gardens yesterday. This is where the Commonwealth forces in World War II had their military base. So the British, the Australians, the Indians, the Singaporeans, Malaysians. As unfortunately where they had to surrender to the Japanese in 1942. The worst military defeat in British history, according to Winston Churchill. But this is just the top of where their bunker was, which is below ground, and you can see the remnants of the above ground structures just in front of me. So we're now just round the front of Fort Canning, and we've got Raffles' house. Now Raffles is the chap who is credited with a large part of making Singapore what it is when he came here in the 1800s. And this is just a little mock-up of what his house up here may have looked like. And we've got this really lovely view down towards Marina Bay Sands. We were a couple of days ago with the Singapore skyline to the sides. And as I said, we're now going to head to the National Archives and have a look around in there. We are now at Parliament Place. You can see the Parliament building behind us. If I just spin around, there's lots of these older style colonial buildings from back in the colonial period. A large statue of Mr. Raffles, who helped form the Singapore as we know it. And it's a really nice area full of these old historic buildings. Supreme Court's down there along with the sporting ground. Where we spin round, the real thing to see is the wonderful view across the piece of water known as Clark Quay. And you've got the tiny old houses in the foreground with the huge new skyscrapers behind them. And it really is very, very impressive. So here we have one last view out across the quayside here towards Marina Bay Sands. We were a couple of days ago, and it's been a really nice few days here in Singapore. Well worth coming here. Tomorrow we're going to be heading to Bali, so we'll get back to you then.
So we're now at the airport ready to depart to go to Bali. Just thought we'd quickly show you the jewels. This is this tropical rainforest, and this water fountain is the main part of it.